just kind of more multiplication of polynomials, part 1, so there's a little bit bigger ones. Yesterday we did the foiling technique. We did these guys. So these are kind of some like things to notice. Obviously they're letters, okay? They're not numbers, but just patterns to kind of understand. So when you're doing a plus b times a plus b, you'll see you get a squared plus ab plus ab plus b squared. Okay, combine your like terms, you get a squared plus 2ab's and then plus b squared. Okay, and then when you do this one, you get the same exact thing, but it's minus ab's instead of positives. And so then you get a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So you're kind of seeing a little, this kind of helps develop a pattern, and we're going to get to that in a second. Okay, and then this one is interesting because this is the difference of squares is what it's called, because there's going to be no middle. You're like, what do you mean no middle? Well, a times a is a squared, a times b is ab, negative b times a is negative ab, negative b times b is negative b squared. So you see, this goes away. So we have a squared minus b squared is our final piece there. Okay? Any questions on that to start? So note, the square of a binomial can be found by squaring the first term and doubling the product of two terms and squaring the last term. So that we just developed the general pattern. So if you want to star these and use them, then do that, because what happens is if I have two things times each other, so let's just take an example here. We're going to do it in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. If I did x plus 3 squared, by this pattern, I'm going to have an x squared, right, because that's the a. Everybody see that? I'm going to have a 3 squared, which is 9, and then I'm going to have 3 times x's, right? A times b. Does that make sense? Okay, and that's going to be 6. So that was what it would be in terms of the pattern. So what we're doing is we're showing you ways when it's a little bit quicker that you don't have to foil it out every time. You can always foil it and do it for sure, no problem. They're just wanting you to recognize the pattern. Okay, so we'll get into that some more, but that's generally what they're doing. What I kind of do for my shortcut is I go, okay, x squared, 3 squared, x times 3 times 2. Okay, that's what I kind of look at. But anyway, so let's go down and we'll look at a couple of these. Expand each of the following. So try to use that pattern if you can. So x plus 7 squared would be x squared. 7 times x times 2 is 14x. 7 squared is 49. So I'm timesing this number by 2. That creates the middle. I'm squaring the outsides and putting it outside. Okay? Now I know this is weird because you're like, why are we doing this? It's just a pattern. It's all it is. So again, if you want to foil, you can foil. That's not a problem. If you want to foil this, you would just write them x plus 7, x plus 7. Okay? And we're really just kind of noticing the pattern so we can make maybe a little bit of a shortcut, if you will, to save some time. Because that does happen every time. Okay? So again, let's write it a little bit different. So I'm going to write this. It's 3x squared minus 3x times negative 1 times 2. Yep. And then I have negative 1 squared. So I'm just writing the pattern. I know the 2 is in the front. I just put it there because I just the order I was going there. So 3x squared means you square the 3, you square the x. That's 9x squared. This right here turns into a negative 3. Excuse me, it should be plus. So it's going to be a negative 3x times 2 is negative 6x. And then a negative 1 squared is a positive 1. So it's 9x squared minus 6x plus 1 for that guy. Okay, I'll try to do it a little bit better here. That was a little bit unorganized, so let's try this one. 2m squared plus 2m times negative 3n times the 2 plus negative 3n squared. I'm just going right off that pattern, so that one's the middle one. The a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So as we understand something, my a, in this case, if you're still confused, it's okay. A is 2m. B is negative 3n. So right up the top there, that's what a and b is. Okay, so we square this. 2 squared is 4, m squared. Okay, here 2 times negative 3 is a negative 12, mn. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. N squared is n squared. Okay, try these last three. I'm going to give you some time to try these last three, because a lot of you guys are kind of spinning your wheels trying to get this down. Go ahead and try them. If you mess up, that's fine. Okay, ask me a couple quick questions. I'll walk around, and then we'll put them up here, okay? Let's just see how you did, okay? So again, this is not going to have a middle. The first time, for this one, I'll go ahead and write down what's going to happen. This one I'm not going to, because you should get used to it. If it's the same thing times the same thing with a different sign, the middle will be eliminated every time, okay? So, like for example, this is going to be 4 squared, so that's 16. This is going to be, it's going to be a negative 28x plus 28x, and then it's going to be a negative 49x squared. This would go away. So 16 minus 49x squared is your answer. Yeah.
Negative 49x squared plus 16.
It's fine. Okay. So then this one, 25a squared minus 9b squared. That's all I have to do, because I recognize the pattern. Okay. Now the last one is not a difference, because that's a plus and a minus. This is a minus and a minus. So this is like these ones. It's the same thing twice. So I have to go 2p squared. They're both negative, so it's going to be a minus 2 times 2p times, well, I'll put a plus times a negative 9q. The negative will come from there. Plus negative 9q squared. Again, this is the form from above. The form from above is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. That's my b. That's my a. That's my 2ab. Okay, so we get 4p squared. Negative 18, so 2 times negative 9 is negative 18, times 2 is negative 36 pq. And then negative 9 squared is 81 q squared. Okay, any questions on any of those? Okay, all right, only on one more page and we'll have a break, okay? So we got example 2. So we're expand and simplify. So we're expanding these and simplifying. So now these are not like the pattern, because they're not the exact same binomials, right? These are completely different. Okay? What do you guys think? Like, how would you approach that just off your first glance? What do you think you would do first? Yeah, Caleb. Okay, you can do that for sure. Okay? Here's the one thing I do not want you to do. This is a product. So the 5 doesn't hit all 4 terms. Does that make sense? The 5 doesn't hit all 4 terms, because if the 5 hit all 4 terms, if I wrote 3xy, then that means it would be 3x, 3y, but it's not. It's just 1, 3, right? So you only hit one of those. So I'm going to do what Caleb did, even though my notes are different, because he's right. You can do that. You can do the 5 into those 2. So that would make it 10x minus 15. Now, the only problem with doing that is there's just going to be a little bigger numbers. Not a problem, though. You could FOIL first. That's okay. Now we're going to FOIL. There we okay? So 10x times x is 10x squared. That's my f. My o, 10x times negative 6 is negative 60x. Negative 15 times x is negative 15x. Negative 15 times negative 6 is positive 90. Combine the middle, and I'm done. 10x squared minus 75x plus 90. Okay, so now for this one, I can't multiply the negative 8 in. Why? Because the square is blocking it, right? We can't throw things into a binomial that's being squared. It's like it needs to be squared first, is what it's telling you. Okay, so this we can use a pattern for, right? This is from the above. So I can go 7p squared plus 2 7p times 3 plus 3 squared. So again, that is from above, or page 1, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay. See a little bit of lost faces, so please ask if we have something. Yep, Rich?
Where do you get the 2 from?
The 2, because when we do it, we're going to get the same thing twice. So I'll do it one more time here to kind of maybe satisfy what you're asking. So if I do 7 plus 3 and I FOIL it out, we get 7p squared. That's what that is. Okay. We're going to get a 21p and then another 21p. So we get 2 of them. So we write it 2ab. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Anything else to maybe make you feel better about doing the pattern? Again, you can FOIL it every time if you want. If you're fine with FOILing, then go for it. There's no problem. Okay. So if you FOIL it all the way out and combine, and then hit the 8 to everything. That's what we're going to do right now. Okay? So I'm going to do this here. So I have 7p squared, that's 49p squared. 21p, so that's 42p. And then I have 9. So like what Travis just said, I got this all put together, and now I have to take the negative 8, and the negative 8 does hit everything. So what's the difference between the negative 8 hitting everything here, but not hitting everything over here? Why am I saying different things now, Maddie? Right, because this is a product. This is not a product. These are all added. So you have to distribute to each term, right? Because it's 3 terms. They have to be hit 3 times. Okay? So the negative 8's going to go through. So negative 8 here times 49 is negative 392. And then times 42 is negative 336. And then times 9 we know is negative 72. So that's your answer here. Okay. All right. So expand and simplify. So this one we just have to do 2 FOILs back to back. So sometimes you use a pattern, sometimes you can't. Like for example, that's a difference of squares, we call it. Okay? And so that's going to be x squared minus 25. I know that because the middle is going to go away, because one's positive, one's negative. Okay? Then keep your minus here, and then we're going to work out this side. This side we have to FOIL. They're not the same, and they're not different of squares. So we have to actually FOIL this one out. X squared plus 8x. I'm going to write an 8x here. Plus 2x. Okay, so 8x plus 2x is 10x. And then 2 times 8 is 16 for my last piece. Important piece right there is the fact that I kept the negative by the brackets, because that makes sure that you understand that it's minus this whole group. So all these are hit with a negative. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go x squared minus x squared. What's that? What's x squared minus x squared? Yeah, it cancels. It's gone. Okay. Negative 25 minus 16. be negative 41. Okay, and then I have a minus 10x. So that's your answer, negative 41 minus 10x. Okay, if we want to put them in descending order, like we've talked about, that means the x needs to be first. So you would just write it like this. Yeah.
Why is it a negative 41?
Because I owe 25 bucks and I'm borrowing 16 more. So it's a negative 25 minus another 16. I know it's a plus there, but because we're minusing the plus, it's a minus. Okay, so another thing you could do too, Noah, is we could go like this. To make this negative go away, you could hit everything with a negative, and it's just minus x squared minus 10x minus 16. That's what we really have. Okay, good question. Anything else? Okay, this one's not a difference of squares. Looks like it is, but it's not quite. Okay, 9a times 4a, that's 36a squared. Have to FOIL this out. 9a times negative 9 is negative 81a. 4 times 4a is 16a. 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. So that's the first piece. Now the second piece is something squared, so we can use our pattern for that one. I'm going to put brackets here, though, because it's minus this whole group. 6a squared, which is 36a squared. 6a times negative 5, so I'm going 2 times 6a times negative 5, which is negative 30, negative 60. So I went 6 times 5 is 30 with a negative, negative 30, times 2 is negative 60. Okay, and then negative 5 squared is a positive 25. Questions? I know it's a lot. It's just a lot of organization. So again, I'm minusing this whole group. So this time I'll do, maybe it'll help like with no, so we can see it a little bit better. I'm going to push this negative through. I'm going to hit everything with a negative. 81a and 16a, I can put that together real quick. 81, negative 81 plus 16 is 65, negative. That'll be a minus 36a squared. A minus is a plus 60a. Minus a plus is a minus 25. So we're going to go through and combine our like terms. 36a squared minus 36a squared. Done, done. It's gone, right? Negative 65a plus 68, that's a negative 5a. Done, done. I like to cross mine off as I go. It helps me stay organized. Negative 36 minus 25 is negative 61. Negative 5a minus 61. Okay. We've just got 3 more examples, 2 sets, but one with 2 and one with 1. Okay. Any questions? Some of you might be kind of bored. It's a little bit redundant. I know it's a lot of the same stuff, just maybe a little bit harder. Okay, so on this one, we got to distribute and FOIL sometimes. So like what I mean by that is, I need to distribute the 5x through. I need to FOIL this group. And then I'll combine all my like terms. Okay, so just do one at a time, just relax. So like 5x times 3x is 15x cubed. 5x times negative 7x is negative 35x squared. 5x times 1, 5x. Okay, then I go minus this group. I'm going to do this group now. 4x times 5x with my FOIL is 20x squared. 4x times negative 8 is negative 32x. I don't have enough room here. Okay, 3x squared times 5x is plus 15x squared. And then 3x squared times negative 8 is negative 20. Oops, no, it's x cubed. Excuse me. This right here, x squared times an x is an x cubed. And then negative 24x squared. 3x squared times negative 8. Okay, that's the whole group, though. So So now I want to go ahead and combine my like terms within them if I can. So this one has no like terms. This one stays the same. This one does have like terms. I have x squareds I can put together. So it's going to be, I'm going to put it in order as well. So it's going to be a 15x cubed. 20 minus 24 is negative 4x squared. And then minus 32x. Okay. So what's happened almost in every one so far, just by coincidence, but it has happened, is that, again, 15x cubed minus 15x cubed. That's gone. Negative 35x squared minus a negative 4 makes it a plus. Okay, so that's going to be negative 31x squared. That's done. 5x minus a negative 32x means add again. And so that's going to be 37x. That's it for that one. We got one more. Yep.
Isn't like the negative 35x squared minus a plus
Negative 35x squared plus 4.
because there's negative sign.
Yeah, but it was, I changed the positive. It was a minus, so I'm adding it. So if you want me to rewrite it, Aiden. So essentially what we've done is these two were minuses, you're right. If I distribute this all the way through, that makes it look like this. So now there's no more brackets. So then this cancels. Negative 35 plus 4. 5 plus 32. So yeah, I distributed on my, it did look weird, but I distributed on there. Okay, anything else? I'm going to erase this one so we can have room for the other one. Okay. All right. So this one now, looks like we have 2 foils to do, and then distribute the 4 and distribute the 8. Okay, the biggest problem, these are going to be the negatives. Okay, you got to make sure you keep your negatives. So 2x times 3x, again, you can put the 4 in early if you want. I'm going to FOIL first this time. So 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times 2 is 4x. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21x. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. Okay, that's my first one. And now what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to combine my like terms. So it has 6x squared. 4 minus 17 or 21 is negative 17. And I'm going to keep my 4 outside here. We'll do that in a second. Okay. So my next one's going to be a negative 8, and then I'm going to have whatever I get inside here. So x times 3x is 3x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. Negative 1 times 3x, negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Okay, 3x squared minus 4x plus 1 after I combine those. Whoops, forgot the 1 there. The last thing we have to do is distribute those numbers now and then combine our like terms. When you do distribute numbers, it is nice. Distribute this as a negative 8. That way you don't have to worry about the sign changes. So what I mean by that is 24x squared there. 4 times 17, 40, 68. Okay, 4 times 14 is 56. I'll do a negative 8 here, so negative 24x squared plus 32x minus 8. Now I can just combine my like terms. So again, we get the nice luxury of these canceling. Negative 68 plus 32 would be a negative 36. Negative 56 minus 8 is a negative 64. Okay, we got one left. Questions on that one? I'm wearing you out. All right, you got a break in a second. All right, last one. So given for every value of x, the polynomial x squared plus 20x plus 50 can be written in the form x plus a squared plus b. Determine the values of a and b. So what it's telling you is that this can be a perfect square plus a little bit more. So what we know is we can write it like this. X plus a times x plus a plus b. So this is where it gets kind of weird. We're going to go ahead and write it. So with our pattern that we've learned, we know this is going to be x squared plus 2a plus a squared. And then we have a plus b here, just by our pattern. X times x is x squared. Oh, excuse me, 2xa. My bad. Or 2ax, whichever. And so what we can do is, and what we're doing, if you're like really confused what we're doing, we're using our general terms to kind of help us solve for something missing. The problem is we don't know what chunk is taken off. This b is a constant. We don't know how much of this 50 is extra for us. But no matter what, this amount of x's should be the same. So what I'm saying is the 20x's, it can't be broken up any more than 20x. So if 20x equals my 2xa, then how much is our a? 10. 10 times 2, right? Because you're going to have 10x plus 10x. You guys got it. The pattern tells you there's going to be 10. So that's good. So your a is 10. We just figured that out. The reason you did, 2x a equals 20x, right? If I'm solving for a, if I divide by 2x, I divide by 2x, you get 10. Okay, that's the solving piece. The 2xa equals 20x. Divide the 2x off to solve for a is 10. So what we know so far is we know that our a, this guy right here, is 10. That's what we just figured out. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, so we know they tell us it's going to be x plus a number. So it has to be x plus 10 squared. So we need to figure out what is that going to be for a number, and then how will we get that to be 50? So if I FOIL this out, it's going to be x squared plus 20x plus 100. So what do we have? We have 50. How do I get to 50 from 100? No, we're not dividing though. It says right here. What's b have to be? 100 plus what is 50? Negative 50. So negative 50 is my b that they're asking for. And 90% of what you're confused about is all the letters. Okay, focus on the pattern. What we've done is we took what they told us. They said this information here. They said, here's your equation. It can be written like this. So what we're doing is we're showing you that by knowing that the pattern is a 2xa there, this x is my 2xa. So as I know that, I can figure out what a is. A is 10. If I know what a is, I can figure out what I'm missing. 100 minus 50 is 50, so b is a negative 50 in order to get to the spot they asked us to. Okay, so just like you found a missing value. Okay, that's it for this one.